All right, welcome into the half. My name is Erich Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com.
And my name is Erich Campbell. You find me at erichcampbell.com, strangely, huh? And we're in again for the half. So if you haven't been here before, and likely you have, this is all about Q&As, recap of the show that we're generally on, or I'm usually producing the two other guys, and sharing some weekly wins and challenges. So if you have questions, if you have weekly wins, things that you've done well that you're proud of, by the way, they don't have to be big. If you've got challenges or questions that might be answered about business, sublimation, embroidery, e-commerce, that's stuff that we really do, and anything in between, get those ready because we'd love to have you guys cooperate and be part of what we do today. Let's collaborate.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And that's what I love about the half, Eric, that we can go wherever the heck we want to, or wherever the heck the listeners want us to go. And we typically do, right? We don't stay on track here. This is shiny objects for sure. Just put them in front of us and wind us up and we'll talk about it. So
the only nice thing we do is cut it down to 30 minutes so you guys can get back to your day, and so that we don't just gab on for 2 hours, which we totally would do.
Yep, exactly. Totally would do. All right. So we've got Colorado in the house, Mr. Jeremy Picker.
Nice.
Jumping in here. Good to see you, Jeremy. And Cindy King. Appreciate you.
Out in Texas. Thank you for showing up. So yeah, feel free, guys. Jump in if there's anything you want to talk about. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and just jump through what we usually do. And today we actually have something nice. We got the two regular guys recap, and it's going to be fun this time because this morning was a little fun. If you guys don't know, we do a live show, the two regular guys. And that show happens to have had no guest this morning, and that was an unplanned no guest. However, what that let us do is get to a show that we haven't gotten to do for a while.
Yep.
And it's something that we were planning on.
Yep.
And so the cool thing was Aaron and Terry were talking all about participating in the industry. And I think there's different ways we can go about that, but really kind of centered a lot around the history Aaron and Terry have about, doing shows, doing presentations, writing articles for the industry and stuff that I've done myself too. So it was kind of interesting just to see that and get to sit back and listen to Aaron and Terry talk about it. I mean, not that I haven't heard Terry's stories about his start in presenting and doing that stuff, but honestly, they're always good.
Speaking of that, we should do a show one day where we both just act as if we're Terry and we tell the stories that he would tell.
Oh, we could tell Terry stories. Yeah, I think I could tell Terry stories. Right
but
now.
We could make it like, oh, this would here's a topic. Okay, what Terry story should we tell for that?
Yeah, we'd have a show to fill. That's for sure.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fun. All right, so put that on the list. Somebody will.
Secretary. Oh wait.
The Terry Combs
a story.
Yeah, maybe the day that he actually announces that he's going to retire, if that ever happens.
Man. I don't know. I don't know if this man can retire.
No.
But, let's go ahead and bring in Lisa Shaw came in. So Lisa, good morning. Says Lisa, happy to be back in Colorado. Happy to have you back in Colorado. Hopefully, weather's treating you nicely and you had good travel. I know been through a lot, so thank you for being here, Lisa.
Yeah, definitely. So, Eric, speaking about kind of industry participation was the what we talked about there on Two Regular Guys, and like I said, I appreciate that we got to share some of our experiences and learning and hopefully passing that along to people that maybe want to share a little bit more, right? And maybe are kind of called to that, but don't really know how. But you're also a prolific sharer, so to speak.
It's true.
How would you answer some of those questions? Like the first one in my mind was, why is it important to participate in your industry space to begin with? Like, why wouldn't you just keep everything secret, kind of, so to speak?
Well, here's the thing too, where we talked about it earlier, or where you guys really talked about it earlier, it was largely focused on presenting. It was about being out there teaching, writing, doing classes, doing presentations. The thing is, I want everybody to know there's an entire space for being part of the industry that doesn't require you to go that far. And that's being an attendee and just talking to other people who are in those groups, in those spaces. Yeah. And I think that's really the entry point. But I would say what you get there is the same thing we get to maybe a different degree. And that would be, you get this connection. You develop this really strong network of supportive people who are in an industry that understands what you're going through, that is generally adjacent to you, if not identical. And that's actually kind of great. You end up finding all these different places where the craft that you do, the work you do, your shop can fit that you might not even known they would fit. And you're coming from different backgrounds. The way I started out in a mid-sized shop, I guess I would say is fair to call it. A mid-sized shop in Albuquerque, New Mexico is not going to be the same as a contract shop in New Jersey, is not going to be the same as a boutique shop in Louisiana. But we all know how to embroidery. We all know how to thread needles. We all know that we have to deal with digitizing. What we might not all know is all the rest of where we're coming from on that. And frankly, just talking to somebody else, even in your same segment, another mid-sized shop from, Palm Beach is not the same as mine in Albuquerque, is not the same as somebody in California.
Yeah.
They're not the same shop, and they're not going to have the same way of going about things. And having those different outlooks and hearing those outlooks is absolutely, it's inestimable how much that is worth to you, to your overall development, I think, is inestimable.
Inestimable. I like that.
Break down 50-cent words already. But it's something that you can't put a price on.
And I love that.
And the further version of it that they see us doing, that you see, I'm writing for all these books. I've got, I'm out there for Images Magazine this month again. I've got one coming up. I've got a couple coming up in Impressions as well. I've got a bunch of these magazine articles. Wrote for Stitches for years. Wrote for Graphics, Graphics Pro for years. Wrote for, Printware before it became Graphics Pro. All of that stuff is very interesting, and I think it does provide you opportunities to, number one, to actually learn things for yourself, because once you have to codify something, and I know Terry said this and you said this as well, once you have to codify something into a form that can be taught, once you have to isolate it down and get the essentials together and figure out how you're going to communicate that message, it's actually a much cleaner version of the thing that you learned, by hook or by crook, that you learned flying by the seat of your pants, trying to get something done on the shop floor. And it becomes easier for you to communicate that as like a standard operating procedure as well. So that getting your thoughts solidified and formulating a way to actually teach it also allows that. And of course, there's what I kind of call like the things you can't measure. You have the legacy part of this too. All of us know that we have a limited time doing what we do. There's only so many little clicks in this hand that will digitize for me. There's only a certain amount of time I have in this industry. And at the end of that, I don't just want to have a paycheck to show for it. I want to be able to say there was something that we can do to help. And frankly, I'll say at this stage of my life, I'm going to go full woo-woo on everybody on this one. Just go all the way out and say, at this stage of my life, I feel like almost nothing is worth doing that isn't helping to reduce suffering for other people. Almost nothing is that dang important unless we're helping other people as best we can. And in this very small way, in an industry that we know is not necessarily going to be known by everybody on every corner of the earth, our little bit of information might save somebody a lot of trouble, might help them out, and at the very least might let them not feel alone in the process. And that's already something. Even if you're worried, like everybody knows how to thread this machine, everybody knows what they're doing already, I just started out. They might not do it the way you do it. They might not. Also, you might be the proper voice. Not everybody's willing or ready to hear from me, or for someone who looks like me, or from somebody with my background exactly what they might need, whereas they might be more receptive to you, whoever you are out there listening to this. And you might be the right voice for them, or the right style of communication. Maybe they don't like guys who trot out the word inestimable 5 minutes into their discussion.
I do.
Aaron likes it, but hey, that's why we hang out. But you might not, and that's the thing. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My communication style, my style of teaching might not be the same. Hey, while we were doing the show, that was the other thing too. I felt called out. Like both Aaron and Terry are like, "Yeah, I get him to talk immediately." Terry's like, "I when you have a question, ask it immediately." And then the first thing I do in my classes go, "Hey, if you've got a question, write it down because we're going to handle that at the end because I've got a lot to get through." I make everybody wait till the end. So that's the thing. Is there a right or a wrong way? We all get highly rated. I mean, honestly, all three of us, that's not being full of yourself. We get rated. We get grades. If you guys don't know, they provide us with all of your comments and questions later down the road. Not with your name on it, so don't panic. But we get all of your anonymous comments and questions down the road. We get graded, and we all have nice high ratings. What does that mean? all of those styles are working.
Yep.
It's not just one style of teaching, one style of sharing that works. You come to it with your own personality. And if you come to it honestly trying to help, and you put in the effort, and you make sure that what you have is something that you could have benefited from at an earlier stage, the chances are you're going to do fine.
Yeah.
And if you're nervous, cool. Same.
Yeah. So
Same.
Jeremy, I'm right there with you. He says my vocabulary equals I love lamp. I'm right there with Jeremy, and that's why I hang out with Eric, so I can increase my vocabulary.
That is so not true. I just saw your bookshelf. No way. I don't believe you, dude. You were on the Two Regular Guys. We saw how much stuff you take in. You're not like that.
All right. Ramona says, I think one of the parts of participation is being a supporter of the educators you want, and 100%. One of the ways to do it is to attend the events, take the classes, comment to others who they are and the education they share. I love that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, I definitely try to share the people that I'm learning from, right? I mean, you guys have heard me probably more than you want talk about Jack Canfield, for example, right? He's somebody that really resonates with me, and so I want to make sure other people are familiar with him, or books that I've read from, Slight Edge to other places, but also people like Eric. Like people come to me and like, I know you're in the decorating space, and I'm having a little bit of a challenge with embroidery. I know the guy, right? And you got to share that and be willing to do that. So I love that.
Likewise. I mean, that's what we do. We share.
Yeah.
By the way, good afternoon, Frank. Thank you for tuning in from out in the UK. But yeah, and honestly, the other thing is you just go, you be on things, you make yourself available. The other thing that's really surprising to me, I think everybody thinks that there's this impossible barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of a labor of love, and it's not something that's going to let's put it this way, you're not making your month because you spoke at a conference. That money will take the sting out of what you need to pay to get there. that's about as good as that's probably going to maybe, especially if you're doing one session.
Well, I mean, you'll notice a lot in our industry. Most of the people who are speaking are also there exhibiting, on a booth, right?
Yeah. And if they're not, please be very nice to people who are not on a booth, because that means they're losing money.
That means that they've spent their money to be there to share with you.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. And that's not, once again, I'm not necessarily going out there to, hash on the industry or whatever. I mean,
we should step up in that regard.
We should. I mean, we should. But
if we want better education, we got to be willing to pay for it, right?
Yeah,
so anyhow,
I agree.
I could get way up on a soapbox.
I'll try not to just hash all of our friends who organize these things today. Suffice it to say, though,
I will.
At present, if you see someone who's out there who's not selling something to you directly and they're teaching, they're doing it out of the desire to teach. There's not a big bunch of remuneration coming for them. However, remuneration. Now I'm picking out my own 50-cent words. All right. However, what I will say about it is this: like, it is valuable to us. We do get something out of it, and you would too.
Absolutely.
You certainly get to be in in the presence of these people. I can't tell you, when I first started writing, I was starry-eyed over the people who were in the magazines, because I started out learning entirely by myself. Only found the magazines and articles later, after I had already kind of had to go through the School of Hard Knocks version. And then turned around and, I got to write. And when I started writing, and when I started getting contacted by these people who were doing this work, I really was just like, I was starstruck by these people, and then found out later they're decorators like me. And honestly, when people come to me in that same vein, they're like, which by the way, makes me feel super old sometimes. Like, I've been reading your articles my entire career. And I'm like, I think my joints just froze up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, that's awesome. And also they find out that I'm just a guy. I'm a decorator like you guys, and we do the same stuff. And honestly, you could do it too. There's nothing particularly different about us, aside from, I would say, probably just stepping up and putting in the effort. If you're willing to do that part, somebody like us will also help you find the way in. I've got some people who I recommended for show spots who are teaching in Fort Worth, and I'm pretty happy about that, because it's like, these are people who I thought could do it. And I said, you know what? This is who I'd love to see. And people like us also sometimes get some say in that stuff, because the shows have had us out for years, and they ask, who else would you like to see up there? So
for sure.
Communicating with folks like us helps too.
It's all full circle though too, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Like
somebody helped us.
Somebody helped us.
Yeah.
But we still have to like kind of look to that and be willing to point to that, right, and say, for example, for me, if it wasn't for Scott Fresner, I wouldn't be in the place that I'm at, right? And I always like to, even though he's not around as much anymore, I still like to bring that up. Terry's the same way. Terry and I are best friends, but he's also somebody that has helped me, right? And I want to keep referencing back to that because if all of a sudden I'm just out there going, oh, hey, here I am, and blah, 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 and you don't go, oh, well, Erich actually helped me get here, or whatever. I'm not picking on Erich specifically. I'm just saying in general.
No, but sure.
Guess what? You might not get those opportunities anymore. So
I don't want to. It's not a kiss the ring type of thing, but I'll say it is very good for all of us. Because I say this too. Somebody who really helped me out a lot, Nicole Rollander, who is now a freelance copywriter, but she was once the editor-in-chief of Stitches Magazine, and I won an award over at Stitches Magazine. And she said, we're doing this new blogging thing, which, by the way, don't make me feel old again. We're doing this new blogging thing. Do you want to do one of our blogs? And I said, yes. And that started all of it. But then I'll say, the initial energy was out there because I went and said, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to put myself in these contests. I later learned that not many people sign up for this stuff. If somebody in the magazine or article world or at one of the vendors says we need some samples, you're probably one of a few if you say yes. If you say yes and make a sample or share a story from your shop, you're probably in a single-digit number of people who agree to it because everybody just assumes they can't.
Yeah.
And the first part of it is just putting yourself out there. And then after that, there are people
taking an action
want to, but there are people like I am looking for it. If you come to me with that kind of energy and you're putting something together, I have been looking for a while for the next generation. I want you to come in and do this. And the people like us who are sharing freely, who do show up for the love of the thing, we want you there. We want you to take over. We want you to do more of it. It's not, we're actively going to try and get you there. And that's, I would say most of the speakers, not all, most of the speakers, most of the writers, I won't go 100%, are in that same boat. The ones that I love to be around, the ones who you'll see me hanging out with, they're the same people like we are. We want you to succeed and we want you to be a part of it.
Yep, for sure. All right. So good morning, Jarita. Jeremy, when Erich said that too, that's exactly the song that came into my head as well. And I almost sang it out loud. So I appreciate you being the voice of my internal brain there, Jeremy.
Bring me back, no doubt.
All right. Well, Erich, let's we could go on with this one for a long time, but want to make sure that we leave
weekly
some space
wins
here. Let's get some weekly wins in here. So what is it that you've been able to accomplish? What are the wins that are happening for you? We won't get into a big long explanation like I normally do, but there's no judgment here. So just bring it. We're seeing about 20 people in right now. So I expect 20 weekly wins.
If you've got something that is your win that you think you've done well this week, please share it in the comments and let us know, because we want to celebrate you as much as anything.
And this is that participation, right? You got to take action. Just type that thing. If you're driving, pull over. Type that thing. Right?
If you're driving, don't go immediately if you're driving. Yes, this is true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I've forced you to start the last few times, Erich.
This might be true.
Forced is maybe a strong term. I don't think I'm ever going to force you to do anything, but I don't think I have that kind of strength. But so, all right. So I will go first. And
please.
Okay, so for whatever reason, and I still haven't determined what the reason was, and I think at this point there's really no point in digging. I kind of wanted to dig to find the reason to see if I could kind of fix something. But I've had the book done for a little bit. You guys know that. And obviously it was written based a lot on the success principles. It was encouraged by the success principles community, even encouraged by Jack Canfield himself. I do know him. I have met him. He knows who I am. I wouldn't say that we're friends, but I've got a little bit of a relationship there. And I would not send him my book. I had a nice email crafted, and it just sat there, and I could not bring myself to send it for whatever reason. Again, still haven't figured it out. I hit send yesterday. So there we go. Dude. That's my win. Long story to say, that's
awesome.
My win. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And hey, we did a little applause. Well, good applause, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, that is always, I'm going to say this is the hardest thing. And especially if you actually care about somebody's opinion, putting your work out in front of people is hard. The other thing I'm going to tell you this too, since we talked about going out there for the shows, I'm going to be real clear and tell everybody there is rejection, even for those of us who do this all the time. You will put out topics and people will say no.
Yep.
That doesn't mean the topic was bad. It means for what they were looking for,
didn't gel for them. They thought, yep, and that's fine.
And that's okay. And you have to realize that.
Yeah. Because for everybody that says no, there's somebody out there waiting to say yes.
Absolutely.
If you will then go ask them. Right. Nobody's. Yeah.
And that no is, like I said, like I always say about failure, I don't like to even consider that failure. Rejections aren't usually failure. Usually that is fitness, right? That is fitness. But I always say, hey, it's never fatal and it's always educational.
Yeah. First attempt in learning.
There you go. That helps you to find it.
To say that. Right.
I might do the 50-cent words, but you will come out with the acronyms.
I've got all the little, So speaking of that, right?
Yes.
So just think about in like your best, okay, we're all at the self-help thing. We're about ready to run across the coals. If you're a Tony Robbins person, maybe it's an Oprah Winfrey thing where we're all jumping up and down and screaming. Do this in your head. The next time you get quote unquote rejected on something, go, some will, some won't, somebody's waiting, or no, sorry, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting next. Right. But do that in that we're all about ready, in that we're all like in a jumping up and down. We're super excited. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting next. Right, so
that's pretty good. Well, that's the thing. What I always tell people, it's hard because we become too attached to the things we create. If you make more, then each thing is just a rep. It's just a repetition in the process, and you become less attached to each individual thing if you keep moving. It's just true. You just become less attached to it.
Yeah.
But I do love this. Joe Rita's got a good one. Blending 3 layers of colors for dog fur. That's great. She's digitizing animals, which is one that I don't always love doing myself. So good on you. I don't sell, but every time I succeed is a win for me. Absolutely. If you set out to do a thing and you do it, hey, that's a win. And like I said, big wins, small wins. We want to hear all of them.
Yep, for sure.
And Ramona, I think we all feel like this.
Ramona says, I don't know if that's a win, though, Ramona. We still need a win.
So. This might be challenges. Call me Stretch Armstrong. I feel like I'm being pulled in a dozen directions. Wow. All of us. For real. That's the thing. I think that's what Aaron said earlier. He was talking about promoting a class he's going to do upcoming with Corral Trainer guys. He was like, we don't have a resource problem or a time problem. We have a priority problem. And I'm like, man, do I ever have a priority problem?
Well, I can extrapolate on that too. Extrapolate on that. We have a priority management problem because we don't know what the priorities are. And so we become people pleasers. Right. And then as a people pleaser, you're actually doing the opposite of pleasing people because So anyhow, I get it.
It's like, I don't want to start the AA meeting for people pleasers, but
I'm a recovering people pleaser.
My name is Eric, and I'm a people pleaser. Yeah, for real.
My name's Aaron Montgomery. I have been a non-people pleaser for 15 minutes now.
Same.
Yeah.
I said I was, and I'm relapsing.
Yeah. Darren, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. But we still need more wins from you guys. Come on, bring them. What are your wins for the week? Anything big or small? Let go of the labels, right? Just give us a win. Like Joe Rita, for example, that's just a win, right?
Just a win.
Every time I succeed, it's a win for me. No, it's
a win.
A win. Blended 3 layers of color for dog fur. Period. Awesome. That's a win. Good job.
Awesome. Trying out new things. That's a win.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, Eric, you're up, big guy.
This one's hard this week because I'll have to admit this week was more challenging than winning for me. But
that's okay.
I think honestly, I'm going to put it down to the smallest version of the win for me, and that was I kept pecking at the tasks that I had to do. Got setbacks, still struggling on the setbacks, but I know what I need to do and I keep moving. Like I said, these things happen. Also, I'll say this. Actually, here's a better one. You guys know I've got an old house that has a lot of problems. You've heard me talk about it. We had a massive monsoonal flood very recently. So we had water a few inches up onto our sides of our house and everything. and I had some ingress in an area where we had a problem before, so some water got into the house. And here's the dumb win for me. That stuff used to send me into a spiral. Like, I'm a bad person. I'm not taking care of things. I'm poor and don't handle stuff right. And then I don't fix things fast enough. I used to cause a whole bunch of that stuff. And this one I went, you know what? This is a thing that I could not have foreseen. It happens. It happened to my neighbor. It happened to somebody else. I'll take care of it. And then I also looked on the bright side and said, oh, it's an area where I was looking to do some different work. And I'm like, hey, cool. Glad I didn't do that yet. I was going to replace the flooring in there, and I'm very, very happy that I didn't do it yet. Yeah. So, hey, the win was not taking it too seriously and giving yourself a little space. How about that? I like to do those too, because I could tell you guys about stuff I digitized. I could tell you about a podcast I was on or a thing that I produced. But hey, that happens, right? And that's the thing. Also, not taking a thing that's literally an act of God personally is probably a good one.
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah, Jarita says, been there, done that. 2 feet of water in the house in 2015.
Oh, so, I can't imagine.
Yep. All right, Ramona, win. My machines are running today. Production, yes,
100%. When the needles are moving,
running. Yeah,
that's the thing. I always tell people that is the sound of the cash register when the needles are moving.
When the needles are moving, yeah. Because I do a lot of heat printing, so to speak, right? Every time that press opens up, man, that's a dollar sign. That's the you said, cash register.
That's
ringing.
The register. That's the register ringing. I know we don't have that.
Ooh, okay.
That is another sale. That is the count going up.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna. It's Adelina.
Yeah. As best as I've done
a win.
Yeah, man. That's a win.
I got a name right. So
do it.
Stephanie says, love the sound of a register. There you go.
I have to admit, I will say that was the nice thing from the old school registers is the ding. I missed that, right? That's Square just doesn't hit the same way as the old school mechanical register used
I've got mine set to actually make that sound when a stripe payment comes through. So
I like the old school ding. I gotta love that.
I like it.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we got a little time. We got challenges, not a lot of time. So challenges in Q&A. What are your challenges this week, folks? Like, what are the things you're struggling with? What are you working on this week? What are you planning? And hey, maybe a little accountability. What are you planning to make into a win between here and next week?
Yeah. We got speaking of
wins, another win.
We got another win. Jeremy says, organizing my office, made my own bookmarks by laminating some leftover woven labels. Got a beef jerky bouquet from my brother for my upcoming birthday. Well, happy birthday, early birthday first, Jeremy, and good job on the wins. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
I want to see those. I'm sure I could go
bookmarks. Yeah, dude.
I'm not been really great on social lately, so I need to get out there, but I'd love to see those bookmarks, Jeremy.
Same. In fact, I'm going to tell you that is one of my challenges this week is that I've ghosted on social a little bit. I've been bailing out and not engaging with social as much as I should have outside of the stuff I'm doing for work. So for real, I feel like that's something I want to work on is get more of the work that I love to share out there. Though the one thing I will say has been nice, speaking of a small win, is I've been resharing small decorators into my spaces to help them get in front of more people who follow me because of what I know. And that has been cool. Just showing more small decorators to the decorators community. But that's a challenge for me is to re-engage in social the way I used to a little bit more. Hopefully I can make some of that happen and also promote some of the stuff that's going out there. I've got podcasts. I've got all this other stuff that I've been doing and articles that are out that I would love people to read. And I just need to get back to it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We got another win here, Eric.
Nice.
Yeah.
Adelina's win. My win in July. I got my own one-head 18-needle Tajima. Lovely machine. A new computer and Wilcom. Great. Good work. Good programs. Good machine. Good going.
Yeah,
like I said, get to it. New equipment's always good.
Yep. All right. Stephanie says that's awesome. Love supporting others.
Nice.
That. Cool.
Right, so any challenges you're going to address this week, sir?
Other than finding the pictures on Jeremy's Instagram here. I'm looking. All right.
Get some likes, Jeremy. We're coming for you.
Yeah. No, I think the big thing for me is just I yesterday got a ton of clarity on what my goals are. So kind of turning that into the actions is the next step for me. So yeah.
I got that. I have to pick up myself, my friend. Yep. I think that's something. I think we're all kind
feeling that clarity, man. I saw the whole map show up in front of me. So it was pretty cool. So stay tuned.
Hey, the breakthrough is always over the horizon. We know that's what's
right.
there.
That's right. All right.
I didn't think it was appropriate for me to cut right where you were in an inspirational challenge.
I know. You know what, though? You certainly could have, and I would have laughed my head off. So, hey, have a great week, everybody.
See you next time, folks.